Hello. If you have seen my previous video, you'll know that I received a whole bunch of electronic parts from a company called Electronic Gold Mine, and these three things were in the pile, and I didn't actually mention them because I forgot, but I've been playing with them, and I thought maybe it'd be interesting to show you what I've been doing. So these are oscillators. They're little quartz crystals that you send a signal through, and they resonate at a certain frequency. And this one apparently resonates at 18.92 kilohertz, and this one too. And this one resonates at a slightly lower frequency, 11.0592 kilohertz, I think. So I've been online learning things from people who know things, and there's ways of figuring out if these work and figuring out what to do with them. And obviously, if you've seen my videos, you'll know that I'm interested in making sound. So I want to make sound with them. But I think these won't be useful for that because they're such low frequency. And also, the ones that I've been, the websites I've been looking at have been designed by people who are dealing with much bigger oscillators, because these are probably for maybe providing a regular clock pulse for a microchip or something. And usually we find oscillators for radios and stuff like that. Like if you ever hear of a quartz crystal radio, like a little AM radio, a quartz radio, they would use something like this to tune in to the stations. So I've been looking at my first thing I looked at was a YouTube channel called RadioFun232, and he I knew he would have something about this, and of course he had like 6 or 7 videos all about oscillators. So he made a schematic diagram of a circuit that should test them. But what is this? But he cautions us that it's only good for this range, and mine are below this range. So I don't even want to attempt to make this, because he said that it's a really finicky circuit, and I don't want to be frustrated. So I've found a different way to test them, and it's by a guy who runs a YouTube channel called Hasib Electronics, and this is his circuit, and it's really simple. And basically what it is you're creating your own oscillator and making this is a symbol for the quartz, making the quartz one resonate with it at a certain level. And once you tune it with these potentiometers, these knobs, then you can figure out, like, as soon as you tune it to a certain level, and the quartz crystal, and you can look at your oscilloscope and see that everything's kind of aligning. Then you can count how many sections there are on the screen and figure out if your crystal is what it says it is. Basically. So that is what I've done. That's what I've done right here. I have made this little oscillator, and also I think maybe I've done a video where I made a synthesizer using this oscillator. It is an SN74HC14AN, for anybody who cares. And it's really simple. It's basically just some logic circuits that you tie together, and they vibrate at an audio level and create a sound. So I created this to measure these, and I put a little socket over here that I can stick them into and see if they work. And let me just unzoom. so I can show you that this is tied, it's connected to an oscilloscope right over there. Zing! And when I twist that knob you just saw, you get it to a certain level. There we go. You can see that it is in fact operating as an oscillator. And if I amplified that signal, it'd be going wee. So, oops. This is a finicky circuit too. I gotta get it back up to, there we go. You gotta kind of turn it off and then turn it back on. There we go. Be good. No, you're not being good. Be good. Circuit. Okay. So, I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to show you what I'm doing. I guess I'll just talk. I'll show you what's happening on the screen as I twist this knob. So this is the way you tune that oscillator. And this is the symbol for a potentiometer, basically this knob. And it requires two. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, one controls the pulse width and on the top, and the other one controls the pulse widths on the bottom. And you'll see what I mean when I'm playing with it. But instead of using two, he recommends that we use a potentiometer that's kind of tied together. It's a dual potentiometer, so that when I turn this, both of these are turning at once. And in that way, I'll show you. The frequency can be controlled like that. So, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this little guy and stick it into that port that you saw, and it changes the frequency almost immediately. Whoops. There you go. Okay. So you can see the difference between this and that. Quite a change. So that is the 18 kilohertz, and now I'm going to put on the 11 kilohertz and see what happens then. How about that? There we go. So that's the 11. That's the 18. I'm going to try to turn this knob and see what happens. All right. So now I'm going to do the same thing. That was the 18, and this is the 11. So apparently, to find out what the frequency is by using this old-fashioned oscilloscope, you find where the rising edge is, which is right there, and you go up, down, and then back up to that rising edge, and you count how many squares it travels. And this one travels almost 2 squares. I'm going to move a little closer because you got to use this little. Use this little dial here to see where it's dialed into. And the number down here is 0.05. So what this means is this is how many seconds per division. So it's 0.05 seconds per division. Each one of these things is division. Those little squares. So what you do is you do some math. I'm going to do some math on my phone. So, I would say that was almost 2 divisions. And you take 2 and you multiply it times 0.05, which obviously is 0.1. And then you take that number and you divide it by 1,000,000. What we're doing here is figuring out what the hertz is, and that's, Mr. Hertz figured this out. So 0.1 divided by 1,000,000 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Whoops, not 7, 6. Wait a minute. Shoot. Stop. Okay. 0.1 divided by 1,000,000 equals that number. And then you take that number and it's put that as the denominator for a fraction, which is 1 over that number. And that is, I'm just going to do it this way. 1 divided by 0.1,
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yep, that's what it is.
10 million. 10 million hertz. And then, to find out how many kilohertz, we divide that by 1,000. And I think that's pretty close to the 11 kilohertz that it states on the oscillator itself. So, it's not a really accurate way of measuring, but it's nice to be able to confirm it.
Well, that was not as satisfying as I had hoped it would be. I want to be able to test these things with accuracy. I don't know why. I just feel like that would complete my task. So what I did was I went on to eBay and I bought this little kit that tests crystals. It's called a frequency meter, but they give you a little pre-made PCB, and they even give you instructions, schematic drawings, and step-by-step detailed instructions on how to assemble it. And they even give you a little case made out of acrylic, and you can assemble it into its own little thing. And here it is. Isn't it cute? And look down here. It's even got those little ports that you can put a crystal in. Boink. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that for you right now, and then we can put this to rest. Put this to rest right here. Okay. And isn't that fancy? Look at that. I like it. All right. So this says this is the 11.0592. And I'm going to stick it in the little holes. Come on, buddy. Go in the holes. There we go. 11.058. That's pretty darn close. That's how many frequencies. That's how many hertz is that? And it actually, I can confirm, upside down even. 11.0592. So it's 12 off. And this is the, sorry for my calloused hands. I've been working hard at looking at oscillators. 18.9268, and stick it in the testing port. Ugh. Not as easy as it seems. It should be. Come on, Cystal. 18.925. Pretty good, pretty good. And even upside down, it's 18.9268. So it's off by 0.018. And they also, when they sent me this thing, they gave me an extra oscillator. Maybe this is sort of like a complimentary test crystal. 4.002? No, 3 O's behind the 4. Let's go see. First try. Yes. Dun, dun, dun. 3.999. 5, 6, 5, 6, 5, 5, 6, 6, 5, 6, 5, 6. Okay. So now our task is complete. Except,
well, there's one more thing I'd like to do, and I'd like to see what's inside one of these things. And I've actually looked online. There are videos where there are people who have actual instruments that take apart these things, and I'll put a link in the description for those if you want to see like a really good investigation of what an oscillator looks like, what a crystal oscillator looks like. But I really want to see it for myself, so I'm going to just take this into the shop and crack it open. Just crack it open. See what's in there.
okay. I resorted to a hacksaw to cut open this little can. Now I'm using my kitchen knife. To pry it open. Oh. So, looks like let's focus in on this a little better. Looks like this. One electrode goes up, and I'll point with something that's tinier. One electrode goes up and connects with this little curlicue, even tinier wire, and then another one connects with that. It looks like maybe it was there was a sort of a metallic layer on top of this crystal, maybe? See how there's a clear and there's a light color. Maybe that is metallic, and that's what's connecting to that. So it made sort of a circuit across here and resonated the quartz crystal. There's one way to find out. I use this little device I have invented, which I shall call continuity tester. Definitely. So that's a conductive layer, and that is not. But this resonates, I think. This is the crystal part that resonates. And I think they use quartz crystal because it's such a solid, a stable matrix. They can pretty much grow a crystal to be to resonate at a certain frequency. Those engineers. Meep. So, yeah. So that's what's inside this little can. It had a little piece of fabric in there, like a little blanket, just for a little quartz crystal. Sorry, I broke you, little quartz crystal. Anyway, thank you for sticking around and watching this. We didn't really conclude very much, except that there's a thing inside there, and that it resonates and changes the frequency of the oscillator that it's connected to.